Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal Podcast. New year, new Sentai. This is for Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is.
Right. Oh. Sorry, I still haven't recovered from Kira Major. Whew. If you gave up on Kira Major because you thought, this doesn't seem interesting, this isn't going anywhere, this is for me, give it another chance.
Yeah, jump back in. I will admit to start with, I thought it was absurdly silly, and I kind of checked out for a little bit of it.
And, no,
In terms of my motivation to go, yeah, this is awesome. This is a show that I'm really into. It's like, but no, this show's fantastic. That show's fantastic.
and no, it wasn't going anywhere, but it still ended up somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. For not going anywhere the entire show, it went somewhere.
Oh.
But new year, new show,
Kikai
new worries.
Sentai Zenkaiger, Episode 1. Go
Please say the
Ranger!
name.
Jew Ranger! Kira Major! I like how those are the ones that they went with.
Which I can see why.
Right, those all are significant. You got first
Um,
Sentai, first adapted to Power Rangers, plus first to have the six member, and then the last one, like all
but
of
it
them.
it it also works on another level too. Um, if yeah, under technicalities, you have the first Showa, the first Heisei, and the first Reiwa.
What? No.
Kira Major was the first one that aired the first
Jew,
entirety.
Jew Ranger wasn't the first Heisei. Jew Ranger was 92.
Okay, never mind then.
Jetman came before that, so I want to say whatever came before Jetman. Unless
I don't
I
know when Heisei actually started. I was just going off of.
it was either 89 or 90. So I want to say it was probably whatever came before Jetman, which I don't remember what it was. Live Man maybe?
Oh, they went. There were my theory. Damn it.
That would have been nice, but they're just going simple with first Sentai, first Power Rangers, and most recent.
Yeah, I read into it a little too far then.
You tried.
I tried.
What is Pixie saying?
Uh, she seen the takoyaki scene.
Oh, we'll get to that.
We're gonna hear my bitching again about it.
What, you got something against takoyaki?
No, I have a problem with Tokusatsu showing me takoyaki
Okay.
because I want it and can't get it.
I knew that's where that was going. As soon as
That
you
too.
said you had a problem with him showing it. So,
This is a whole issue I had with Ghost.
uh, so our main character, shit,
um,
I always write down the names of the new cast members so that we can look at that, and I forgot to do that this time.
give me a second. I have it
Yeah,
pulled
yeah,
up.
I'm
Here it is.
gonna have to.
Kaito Goshikita. So
Sorry,
Kaito.
Kaito.
Goshikita.
Okay, so Kaito is our main character here. Uh, and the first thing he does is he's at he's at a tower and he's carrying some suspicious looking gear. So security does what they do and goes, "Hey, can you show us that? What do you have there?" Just in case it's a bomb. It's not though. It's bungee gear. He wants to jump off the needle.
Because he wants to be the first one to do it.
It doesn't have to specifically be that though. Like will the balcony be okay? Can I? No, you're kicking me out. Okay.
It
So
was at that moment when I knew I'd like this guy.
Kaito's whole motivation is that his parents are theoretical physicists and discovered a parallel world. And that was a big thing, and they were the first people to do it. And he has those expectations that he feels he should live up to. So he wants to be the first person to do something big. It doesn't have
I
to be
mean,
that big, but
right.
it has to be big. It has to be something people will go, that guy did that.
And like he also has like the realistic expectations because of what he settles on being the first at.
Right, like trying to bungee jump off of a what I assume is a landmark.
Right. And then you have what he settles to be the first at in this episode, which is the gift that Pixie sent.
So like I'm like when the Kikanoids end up on Earth, he was the first to greet them.
He was the first to greet them and the first one to trade cotton candy for takoyaki.
Yep.
The bastard.
So the villains, what are they called again?
Do, 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 do.
They are, what is
Where'd it
that?
go?
That's what.
Kaikitopia Dynasty Toji Tendo.
Yeah, okay. Toji Tendo. They, so it's your standard rule everything kind of villain, but by everything he means like the entire multiverse. He ain't settling for this galaxy or this universe shit. Like, no, he means everything. If it exists, it is his.
Like, and this is the episode where like you see the plan that they had, and you see the change in their plan, and went, you fucked up.
Yeah. So they have this device. It's a gear that is allowing them to absorb the world and contain it, so that they can control it. But they get to this world and it stops working. Plus, part of the Kikanai world, their own world, ends up on Earth, like it gets absorbed into it. So a month later, the Kikanoids have adapted to Earth society and are accepted as members of the planet. When the villains decide, you know what, trying to fix this thing is taking too long, let's just conquer it the old-fashioned way.
You fucked up.
It's like, yeah, that was your first and last mistake.
Like it's one of those like in the play of the episode is like you don't really think about that because you're like, okay, yeah, this didn't work, let's do this, and you're like,
Actually, I
okay,
think it's completely reasonable for them to do it,
right,
but they fucked
oh
up.
yeah, absolutely reasonable. It's like, but this is Sentai, that's where you fucked up.
uh, you see, all of those worlds that they've absorbed have had Sentai teams to protect them, and this one will be no different.
Because
um,
when push comes to shove, Sentai finds a way.
Cause yeah, the Kikainoid world wasn't the only one Kaito's parents discovered. They discovered dozens of worlds and discovered that they had the Sentai teams protecting them. And so they decided to prepare themselves and created the Sentai gear that they hid in their basement. So when Toji Tendo launches its initial attack, uh, Kaito, uh, the mechanical bird that they built him, that's totally not Navi,
Totally not Navi.
uh, opens up the door to the basement for him and goes, here, your parents were prepared in case something like this happened. Thus, he is able to begin forming Zenkaiger. At first, he tries to recruit his grandma, but like she's old, she doesn't have time for this shit.
can we point out the fact that she basically went, "No, that's stupid." And again, "No, that's stupid."
Would I look cool? It doesn't matter. I'm old.
I will admit, it's like that was one of the moments I'm like, yeah, that's great, because I was confused by the trailer for this, because that scene is in the trailer, but it doesn't show that it's imagination.
that it's a just a joke.
I was like, who in the hell is this other girl? It's like, oh yeah, no, that's his grandmother.
Yeah, his parents, standard, like, vague, they're dead. Or we're gonna get a twist where they fell into a parallel world that they were studying, one of the two.
And they'll find him at some point.
Hmm. As long as, like, it's not something stupid like one of the main villains ends up being his parents.
God, I hope they don't do that.
You know that they, Power Rangers Wild Force. Saban didn't like the idea of Cole's parents actually being dead. So the writer told him that he was going to do a reveal where it was Jindrax and Toxica under, like, being mind controlled. And so Saban approved it. But then when Disney bought it out, they didn't care, so the writer never had to do that.
That's funny.
So, uh, we only meet one of the other team members this episode, Juran. Uh, he's you know that meme, the "How do you do, fellow kids"? That's literally
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Like
uh,
that old guy trying to be, hip and cool and young still.
right. Like he brings snacks to a bunch of teens or young adults hanging out. It's like, hey, let's party together. Here, food. You can eat this. And they start shooting the shit until the invasion starts, and then suddenly now they're all scared of him because like he's one of the enemy. Uh, it's pretty sad because like Jiren gets ready to like fight back against the general, but like it looks like he's about to attack a human, so they all get scared of him.
Like they did really well with that.
Right.
Um, even so, point of having the general or whoever the hell was actually involved in that, basically looking at him, go, "Oh yeah, yeah, let's go, come on."
So before we get to the actual action, let's talk about the cast we have so far. We've got Kaito, who's white and is going to be the leader of the team. Uh, what do we got on him? Like he's eccentric.
He's eccentric, but he's not like Drew or eccentric. Um, he's not that annoying eccentric either, like Aka Ninja.
Honestly, this is one of the most down to earth Reds we've had in a long time. Like the other one being Ko.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put him kind of in the same category as Daigo King in that aspect of wanting to jump in and do the right thing, but also wants to be remembered for something big. But at the end of the day, at least he's not lucky.
Yeah, no, Lucky. Lucky was pretentious.
I mean, yeah, they covered why he was, but damn,
Oh. And Juran, who's he's cool. Like he's gonna be a fun character.
um, so there's a little bit of on him. Oh,
Oh, he's old because he's a dinosaur. I'm paying attention, guys.
um, He says he thinks of himself. What's listed here for his personality is he thinks of himself as calm and reserved, but he's really an annoyingly stubborn kinkanoid. He loves parties and being the center of attention. He makes friends easily, especially with Kaito. Um, and his voice actor is some. They did the voice of some Baba from from Zhuoger.
Who?
One of the villains, like Monster of the Week.
Ah, excuse me.
His suit actor is Yashiro Tenkuichi in his second Red Ranger role since Gosei Red.
Oh,
Previously served as suit actor for Kirame Blue.
yeah, that's fair.
Da, da, da.
Now I'm thinking about all the like the like very like intentional and like dramatic movements that Kirame Blue had in suit.
It does kind of make sense.
So like when you meet a character for the first time, it's like the first thing that you see them do is very important because that's where you're going to associate with them. And so we get a good read on these characters because the first thing we see Kaito do is he's trying to do something big and impressive. Like he has ambitions. And the first thing we see Juran do is try to party with a bunch of youngsters.
Right. Um, he is based off like his
Yeah, we know.
yeah, um
Daijujin or something.
yeah, Daijujin, his with the T Rex. His dinosaur mode is based off Guardian Beast Tyrannosaurus, while untransformed, his untransformed recalls the general look of Geki. Um, Additionally, the sword and shield are based on Godhorn and Mammoth Shield.
There's also during the fight later when he's riding the billboard. I think that might have been a Die Ranger reference.
Yeah, that might have been. Um, he
Uh,
is the first Red Ranger not to be the figurehead of his team. Um,
well,
though
mm,
though Jack had a similar situation where the Red Ranger was supplemented in a front center position by the White Ranger in Big One.
yeah, which is who Kaito is based off of.
Right. So to be fair, Big One is still technically the extra, but yeah, he was the Red was the leader
Yeah.
until Big One showed up. Is the first dinosaur themed ranger on a non-dinosaur themed team. The first Sentai Red since Magi Red, who was not first in the team's roll call.
Oh yeah, Measure Ranger did the reverse roll call.
Um, he's the only Kikinoid whose past robot basis did not come from the 2000s like the other. His basis came from the 1990s. This is reflected on as him being the first of the four introduced while being the eldest.
Uh,
So just a little bit of added info.
so, then we've got the villain organization, Toji Tendo, with their leader, unpronounceable.
Bakwasis.
To Bakawas, I have no idea. uh, yeah, and he's a wall. Like you see the new Power Rangers movie, like yeah,
Yeah, he's a wall with a face.
and arms. No,
But
sorry, one arm, one arm,
one arm.
one arm, and a
Um,
parrot.
but I will give this better. At least this is the better face on the wall.
Uh, so you got him, his parrot Geege. Uh, what's the
um, the tank one is, I want to say Barashitara. Yeah, Barashitara,
who's the uh
the military commander,
right
the mobile
he
commander,
right
and then Jirud is the mechanic officer.
yep, he's gonna be in charge of the monster of the week. Geege is the parrot. What's the red parrot's name?
Sechan.
Sechan. Okay. So wait, is Geege a parrot or is he? Oh no, he's like a crow.
Yeah, Gige is. It doesn't specify the bird, but yeah, it's more like a crow based on the beak and all that. Yeah. All
So
the this Gige is the second villain whose actor previously voiced a Buddy Royd.
which one?
Um, doo, 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 doo.
Was it Gory Banana?
No, the rabbit.
Usada Lettuce.
Yeah, Usada Lattice. But he's the second one. The first one is Garza.
Garza? Who?
He voiced Jay. Garza Garza
Oh,
voiced Jay.
okay. Oh, wow. I think I might have known that, but still. uh, all right. So, uh, Jirude. Uh, his face remind you of that villain from Time Ranger?
I didn't see a lot of Time Ranger.
Did you see Time Force?
No.
Okay. Uh,
Which I want to get back into it only because I know that Daniel Southworth is in it.
Time Force is really good, actually. Like, and I haven't seen Time Ranger, but knowing some of the changes they made, like, it's really solid.
From what I've seen of like comparisons, they did a really good job.
Uh, so, we do also, during the villains meeting, we get a glimpse at Blue, who is their janitor.
I was not expecting that.
Me
Like,
either.
and because that's the only other one we saw, right? Until the
Pink.
preview.
We saw Pink for a couple seconds when the reporter's interviewing Kikanoids, and she's like, "And how do you feel about this?" And Pink gets camera shy and runs away.
I have to go back and watch that. I missed that. So then, what about Yellow? Did we see Gowan outside of the preview?
Um, I don't think we saw him before the preview. No, if we did, it would have just been a cameo appearance when they were all appearing. But I don't think we saw him. So yeah, while Juren is the only one we actually meet this episode, we still see a couple others.
That's good. Oh, but yeah, like I was not expecting to find you know one of the future Sentai members working for the enemy.
Yeah, and usually when we get something like that, it's like they're like an apprentice to one of the generals, or they're some kind of like officer or soldier or something like that. Not a janitor. They're not.
Right.
They're never the help.
Like this gets to play, and I guess more into the whole he doesn't really know what's going on. He just got hired to work here.
Mm.
He's literally the guy who can literally just go, nah, just work here. I don't know, dude.
So yeah, when the invasion begins, Kaito is trading human cotton candy for Kikai takoyaki. Uh, Unfortunately, neither of them get to enjoy their treats because uh, explosions.
Goddamn Takoyaki. Um. Also, I like what Baker's comment. Also, why did a robot want cotton candy? He can't eat it. We don't have proof that they can't eat it.
Honestly, why does Kikai takoyaki exist if they can't eat food?
Right. I mean, it could have just been a skill that he picked up and is just making. And he could have. He's a mechanical life form. He probably could have picked that up in a month.
Maybe he wants to start making cotton candy as well, and he needed a sample.
Yeah.
Uh, so Kaito, before he gets his powers, tries attacking Barashi or whatever his name is,
Yeah, Barashita.
Barashitara or something.
Yeah, there's gonna point where I'm just gonna start calling him Barracuda or Tank
um,
Man.
uh, but yeah, Barashi just like literally sends Kaito flying. Is just like, man, humans are so lightweight. Uh, uh, Juran ends up saving a small child from a Kikanoid, and he's covering the child to block an oncoming attack when Kaito comes in with a gun. Sentai gun, though.
Yeah, Sentai Gun.
And
Because Kaito was smart. He
yep.
brought a gun to the fight.
And immediately recognizes, like, hey, thanks for saving this child. Here, I have another one. Why don't you fight with me?
Like this is like the most natural, but also like the most absurd way of getting team members.
Uh, but
There's
I'm.
some random, under the premises, so it's just some random Kinkanoid. It could have been anybody. Hell, for all intents and purposes, if they wanted to, I'm glad they didn't. But it could have just been you know, one of the previous Sentai members that escaped their world and ended up next to him and did that. Would have ended up another Sentai member.
But yeah, Jordan's just
But
like,
at
but
least it was that moment of, yeah, you're not like these
yeah,
assholes.
I'm also a Kikanoid though. Like, you're not like them. I want to be friends with you. And then you have the general come up, you have the monster of the week come up with their forces, like, oh, so you survived, human? Oh, I'm gonna scrap you this time, peasant.
Uh,
But like in the middle of their like intimidating speech, Jiren just shoots one of the grunts behind him, like, hey, I did it. Oh, this is gonna work.
like those are the moments that I've always enjoyed of like the whole like Sentai and Rider are bad at the whole, or actually any of the whole transformation series are bad at the whole standing around for a speech thing. So the fact that somebody literally went, no, dink,
Jiren
I'm not
shot
waiting.
first.
Uh, well, we know
Uh,
that's not going to happen when this gets adapted.
and now for the transformation scene. But first, Kaito has to explain to Jiren how to do it.
Thank you. I am so goddamn happy that happened.
Oh. And like the villain's just standing there confused, like, wait, what are they doing right now? What's happening? As Kaido's explains, like, no, you flip that up and then you put it in there. It's like, oh, you should have told me that sooner.
Like I give them credit for having the here's even though it was a very small one, there's not really much to this, but having that here's how you transform moment.
And we get a neat little two-person pose. Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. Full power, full force.
So now we get to talk about something that I noticed, and I really hope you noticed too.
Uh, Depends. What is it?
The sound effect for the gun.
I watched this episode
You
yesterday.
just did the sound effect. The sound effect is it's some guy going. It's literally just a person making the sound effect, and it's fucking awesome. I noticed it. I noticed it like the second time they
Oh.
fired the gun, and I'm just like, I started dying. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh. Oh. Okay. So, I wanted to talk about Kaito's unorthodox way of fighting because this guy has clearly never been in a fight his entire life. He's only ever watched stuff on TV or read manga.
Yeah, it shows.
There's legit a part where he's fighting the monster of the week, and he goes to like do a flying jump kick at him. The monster just dodges by taking a step to the left, and but he like bounces off the wall to try and hit him anyways.
Like this is gonna set up for interesting fights and weight and maneuvers and stuff like that. Like I it I'm already impressed with the choreography and all that with how they're running that.
And then like he like gets up close and Marcel, he takes his gun and uses it to trip the guy, and even the monster's like yelling at him like, what are you doing? Guns aren't
Like
melee weapons. Well,
when
cities aren't
he
meant
hit
to
him
be
in the
destroyed.
when he hit him in the shin. Dink.
It reminds me of Ryuki. How Shinji had his unorthodox fighting style by breaking his opponent's expectations, such as using long-range attacks up close.
Yeah. I'm all for that. I'm all for that type of shit again.
Yeah, I actually hope this is pretty consistent with his like unusual fighting style. I'm sure like as he gets more experience though, he'll develop like an actual consistent method.
Right. But I want this for as long as possible.
And we get the toy gimmick, the Sentai gears.
Not how I expected this to be used.
We get two examples. Juoger. It gives Kaito the power of Juo Eagle, so he can fly for a little bit. And Juran gets the power of Aka Ninja, so he's like running as fast as a ninja and basically teleporting from enemy to enemy.
Like this is a good way to because they when they use them it flashes up the team. So it's a good way of like showing the sentais and highlighting basically the key skill.
Animal powers, ninjas.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. That pretty much describes those two shows.
Sorry, ninjas that don't hide.
Still hate that.
and we get the giant monster fight because this isn't one of those make the monster grow series. It's a separate monster. So we have one of the main generals, the monster of the week, plus the giant kaiju, all at the same time.
I'm disappointed we didn't get like that awesome, you know,
It, maybe later,
that
like
layer the layered fight.
it's the first episode, and like even the general pieced out like halfway through it at some point.
That's fair. But I also like the
Like,
fact that like it looked like the giant kaiju is just playing hide and seek to start with, because he just pops out from behind a building.
so how are they going to fight a giant monster? Well, the Kikai Noids turn into the mechs, just bigger versions of themselves.
Which wasn't entirely what I expected.
But I think we
Like
knew that's what was going to happen.
I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't expect the just oh we're just going to poof you into a giant version of yourself. Like I expected the whole transform into a giant dinosaur because we knew that. I wasn't expecting the 80 story version of Jurin.
And his bad CGI Tyranno form reminds me of Tiramigo.
That's what Pixie said. Like I get that. Like I think it's supposed to be based on like a mixture of that and Jew Ranger.
Ugh. And you still get like the dual finishers, like you see them both charging their finishers at the same time.
Which actually worked out really well.
So Kaito and Juran, uh, first victory. Let's celebrate. Let's have a special dinner. Wait, what's going on outside? Why is everyone growing mushrooms on their heads?
I will admit I like the fact that it threw you right into the next
Right, like
next.
Toji Tendo isn't fucking around.
Nah, you're just like, no, we fucked up. Next plan, now.
This obviously won't happen every time, but like they're clearly going for the hey, let's just try to put the pressure on them.
Right. It's done really well. Like this show is easily starting off at a fantastic level. Because, like you said, like we were worried about this show coming off of Kira Major.
Coming off of Lupin Ranger, coming off of Rio Soldier,
For
coming off
Soldier,
of Kira Major. After three bangers in a row, I was worried. Like, what if I don't like this one?
I mean, to be fair, since Lupin Ranger, we've been worried every year.
And but like the comedy, the action, the character portrayals, like so far, like this show is gonna be just fine. The only thing I'm worried about is that the villains might be too bland.
Right. Um, but again, that's something that can be fleshed out as the show
Right,
goes
like
on.
this we're focusing on the heroes right now. The villains can have their time later.
Like the biggest worry I had going into the show was, to anybody who's heard me talk about it, is I very much was calling this Gokaiger season 2, which in a manner of speaking, it kind of is.
Yeah, I see why you would call it that.
Like every aspect of this show seems like Gokaiger did it just in a different way. So like this to me this would be Decade's version of Gokaiger.
Speaking of, you can't tell me you didn't also think that it was going to be like a DN moment where he summoned a Sentai team.
Oh yes, that's what I expected. That is what the moment they flashed up. That's what I expected.
That's what it looked like was happening.
I or Bosco for that matter.
Trumpet.
So yeah, Trumpet Man. I wasn't expecting them to flash up and then be absorbed. So it's taking something that a show has already done and doing something different with it, and so far doing it really well. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this show goes. And I also, the one thing I'm waiting to see is if they bring back outside of the movie, because we the movie's a thing, is if they'll bring back previous Sentai in in capacities outside of them popping
So,
up for the thing.
so when they did that in Gokaiger, that was a happy coincidence. Like they didn't initially plan to be able to do that, and everything just worked out miraculously for it to happen. So I'm not expecting that again. Maybe we'll get Marvelous to show up.
I really want Marvelous to show up. Marvelous is the one I want to show up so we can sit there and watch all this stuff go down and go, there's something very familiar about this. I don't care if he comes back as Marvelous. Just let him come back as himself, like the actor, and just have him go, wait a minute.
But yeah, now that we know that this how the Sentai gears work and how each one is not labeled, it's numbered. So that makes me curious. How are they going to handle number 42?
I don't know, considering the fact that both of them are in the movie. It, Ichigo and Red are both in the movie.
And if
Do
you're
they count
wondering,
as one?
45 is taken. 45 is Zenkaiger itself. It's what Kaito uses to henshin.
Which, to be fair, we knew officially that that was the case.
Because it's series, not
It's series,
teams.
not team.
So how are they handling 42? Is what I'm looking forward to seeing.
I would,
Maybe, maybe like even though it's only one chip, like you have to have two people to use it.
yeah, and that can, and honestly, it can be used between Zenkaiser and Jurin. Jurin could become Lupin Ranger because majority red, and Kaiser can be or Zenkaiser can become Lupin Red or not Lupin Red, Pat Ranichigo, who's primarily white. That'd be a decent way to do it, and one that would make sense with the color scheme. Not that they actually turn it into anybody.
No, they just gain their powers and maybe some sort of similar trait.
I kind of want like them to do this to where one of them turns into Lupin Red. They steal something from the bad guys, and then whoever gets the Pat Ryan power literally just starts chasing them around. It would be funny and expected. Like it wouldn't feel out of place if they did that. Like this, the only thing I don't really like about this show, and this is just a personal thing, I don't like the grunts weapon. I
The
get why it's a weapon, but I don't like the weapon.
Hold on, I need to take another look at it.
They're two-prong power plugs on a spear.
Okay.
I get why, and this has been my issue with grunts throughout all of Sentai. They either look dumb or their weapons look stupid. To me personally, um, like the one which I don't remember, the Mega Ranger grunts I didn't like.
I don't even remember those.
To be fair, Sentai switched it, or Power Rangers switched it.
Yeah, let me look at the Mega Ranger ones real quick. Uh,
I think Mega Ranger had like two or three different ones.
all right, you got Wicked Electric Kingdom Neziraja. That's who the villains were.
Yeah.
All right, Soldiers Kune Kune. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
Are you looking at the
No!
the purple ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no wonder Power Rangers didn't use that costume.
Um. Yeah.
Okay.
Um. And then like, and then there's some like that, while aesthetically pleasing, don't really make sense. Like the noir foot soldiers in Tokuger. Like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the suits for those foot soldiers, but it was one of those, like, in terms of like the overall aesthetic of the show outside of the bad guys, it made no sense. But at least none of these are just hopping around.
Right.
Like, throughout the years, like there's points where you're like, yeah, I can see why this changed when we made it to Power Rangers, like the grunts from Die Ranger, despite the fact that they had to refilm a bunch of that anyways.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's like you go through Sentai and you see some questionable ideas that they had for grunts, to the point where you can. While I get that grunts are the throwaway villain, there are some where you can see, like, there was some pride taken in this, like the ones from Tokuger. There was pride taken in creating that imagery, even if again it doesn't make sense for children and imagination. I get that's more from the villain's imagination, which would make sense that he'd have a more noir outlook, because all of the villains had a more noir outlook or imagery. Um, this one, while it fits with the theme, it's, yeah, I just don't like the plug. But yeah, 100% this show's gonna do
Right.
fine.
Uh, next week we're going to meet Yellow.
Yeah.
Uh, Gowan and Juren are gonna have that love hate combi.
Well, at least it's not red and blue this time. I don't need another SPD.
So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back next time.
Thank you all for joining us. And remember, go full throttle.